welcome to It's Your Life, Own It. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host. I'm also the CEO and editor-in-chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing. We are Own It Magazine live today. This is September. We are so excited. Happy Labor Day or happy day wherever you are out here in the world. Our topic today is trusting your instincts, understanding the power of what your gut is really telling you and owning it. And so take it center stage with me is contributing writer Teresa Palmer, contributing writer Nathaniel X. Ross, Dr. Daraine Irvin Pasta is in the house. 3-in-1 Ministries. Hey, and it's Dr. Jeffrey Berger, all the way from Florida. So we are around the world. And so we're talking about trusting your instincts, and we're talking about it on a platform that focuses on what? Self-awareness. And we hope that in becoming more aware of yourself, that we would do that work to do that self-development so that we would enter into a space of self-mastery. It's not about perfection. Mastery is not perfection. It really is knowing how to navigate through this thing called life effectively and efficiently into a way that's more fulfilling to you, and not about perfection. And so we're talking about trusting your instincts. We are looking at all of the data that when we got into it in backstage, talking about data, talking about statistics. And though I am a behavioral scientist, I love statistics. Statistics have its place. But what we're talking about is really about trusting your own instincts. When you begin to look at information, when you receive external information coming in, how do you learn to trust yourself? And so we always start with you, Queen Teresa. So we are going to start with you today as usual. Talk to us. You gave us some juice backstage. Talk to us about because this is really important, because we're entering to AI. We're entering to a world that's shifting gears into total tech and information. We have got to lay this foundation called trusting our own instincts and our own judgment. So Queen Teresa, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, all the subscribers to Own It Magazine. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. And I think intuition is so interesting because we have to trust ourselves. If we don't trust ourselves, we can't make the best decisions for ourselves. And backstage, I was talking about, where does intuition reside? Does intuition come from the head, the brain, or does it come from the heart, or a combination? And when you look at conception, the brain in the heart is the first to develop at 3 weeks, the brain in the head at 4 weeks. So technically, you have a brain in your heart first, and the heart has even more neuroreceptors than the brain does. So if we get our information, according to some science, if we get our information from our head, from the brain in our head, that is processing past experience and coming up with a conclusion. Then science says once it comes up with a conclusion about whatever our intuition is telling us, then it goes to the heart, and the heart is where we feel it. So I think it's a combination of getting your heart and your head working together to make the best decision. And I really think in trusting our intuition, we have to trust ourselves. And in order to trust ourselves, it all goes back to self-awareness. How in tune are you with yourself? So I don't think it matters if you believe your intuition's in your head, your heart, or your stomach, your gut. I think what matters is that you are in tune with yourself and you trust what that guidance is saying. Intuition comes in the form of, one, keeping you safe from fear, a danger, I should say. So I had one night when I was working, I always took the back roads, the mountains home. And one night it was stormy, raining, and I said it'd be a good idea to take the interstate. Why should I take the mountains? It's stormy if a tree falls. Well, I was getting close to the interstate, and both of the paths, both of the routes kind of converged at one point. Well, I had this overwhelming feeling and knowledge. It was like something told me, take the mountain. I took the mountain route and I returned home safely. The next morning, I heard on the news that a tornado just suddenly materialized out of nowhere without warning on the interstate that I would have been on. At the very least, I would have been stranded probably overnight because they had to close the intersection. At the worst, I would have been killed or injured. So you have to trust, especially when it has to do with danger. There's also the intuition of something's amiss, but I don't quite know what it is. And that's where you need to pay attention. You may not be able to change that situation because it's not dangerous, but it may prepare you for something. And then there's the intuition of our path, our purpose in life. And I think that's sometimes where we have the most difficulty because it may lead us in a totally different direction. We may be, say, an accountant, and we have this overwhelming feeling that perhaps we want to serve in a different capacity, maybe do mission work, maybe go into another field altogether, law, whatever. And we keep dismissing that because we think it's foolish. But it's not really foolish. It's something then that you have to sit with and determine. Is it just coming from the fact that I like missionary work, but maybe it's not my life's path? Or is it coming from this true desire to do the missionary work? And I think the difference is that this voice or this feeling, whatever you want to call it, or knowing, gets louder and louder. And it keeps telling you to go in a different path. And it may be foolish because you may say, well, I'm a successful attorney. I make six figures. If I go to mission work, I may make four figures or five figures. I don't want to do that. It's foolish. But is it foolish? I don't think so. If you have that really strong desire, I think you need to really follow it. And that's only a decision that you yourself could make. And again, it goes back to how in tune are you with yourself, with your needs? What do you need physically, emotionally, and spiritually? And what is serving you and what is no longer serving you? So I will pass the microphone or the baton on. How about Nathaniel's next to me on the screen? So let's hear what Nathaniel has to say.
Well, I think you did a really good job of sharing that information. We talked a little bit backstage, and you had thrown in ego, and ego is something that's real strong, and discernment and determining what one feels and what one's intuition is two different things, and you have to be able to distinguish between them. So I would just give a tip to folks to know that how do you know you're on the right direction? If your intuition is telling you to do something, the universe is going to give you taps telling you that you're moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. And if you can pay attention to those taps, if you're doing it and you're moving in the right things, you'll notice that you'll get a tap that's saying, "Hey, that was good. Move to the next place." And the tap gets stronger and stronger as you move in whatever direction, right? But it also works in the opposite direction. If you are going in the wrong direction, you get a tap, tap, right? Tap, tap. Um, and sometimes people get it with the light tap. Sometimes it has to be a medium tap, and sometimes it has to be a Mack truck. But you're going to get the taps. So it's just a matter of paying attention to those taps. And I'll go ahead and pass it on to Dr. Chef.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Nathaniel. It's great to see everybody here today. Happy Labor Day, September 1st. I don't remember the last time Labor Day fell on September 1st, Monday, but hope everybody's having a great day. Great value today. And I always love these because I'm always learning from my Own It colleagues. And it's truly a wonderful experience, and truly blessed to be among these amazing individuals. So really my journey started with regards to intuition of leaving corporate America in 2015. And then I had a health issue in 2018, and 2022 was a financial situation that I needed to embrace. And that is when I really started to hone in on my own intuition, and the intuition as a catalyst for change, because I was drowning. And, being able to trust yourself was a very difficult thing for me, because growing up as a baby boomer, we were always led to believe your doctor, believe your financial planner, believe your, all those professionals. And we're all human beings, and not everybody is, on the up and up. So we learned that through our own growth, and the gut feeling for those three specific instances was when I really started to take ownership, with leaving corporate America, taking ownership of my own health, and then taking ownership of my own finances. And that inner voice really pushed me. And Nathaniel brought up the tapping aspect, and I was hit by a Mack truck all 3 times. So that was amazing. And, it allowed me to navigate those turning points that not only secured my own well-being, but also my financial future. And it has helped me guide others in that path as well. So balancing the data and the inner knowing, I want to go back to, leading with regards to the professionals out there. And I don't take away from all professionals. It's like the gut feeling. Do you get that gut feeling from the information that's being shared? And with that, I needed to start doing my own due diligence. All right. When your gut feeling is like, I don't know. So I started to really learn back in 2015. And as I move forward, my gosh, it's now 10 years, doing my own due diligence. So I can be very, very comfortable with knowing that I've done that, and that data is balancing my inner knowing, allowing me to move forward in my best form that I want to lead forward by paying it forward to others. And with that being paying it forward to others, it's leading others through that paradigm shift, because we are in a paradigm shift in many, many respects, from the health industry, from the financial industry, from the government industry, from business industry, from school, so forth and so on. So we're living in that massive transformation. And all of us here today, and others who have come on the show, we're all about the betterment of humanity. And we want to share the value and the nuggets that we each have inside with others who are really looking and struggling out there, wanting to level up, whether it's personal, professional, or a combination of both. And my personal journey has taught me that, when we combine the trust with our instincts, that have become more grounded as we move forward, and the data-driven action that I'm out there constantly learning and growing. Thank God for the internet, and thank God, AI is bringing a whole different perspective to this, this platform. We not only adapt to the changes, but we start thriving. And that's what we want. We want people to thrive. As the CEO and the founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, I truly believe we all should be living that life of abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And that's what drives me forward to carrying my message out to the masses and sharing the platform with these amazing leaders here today, this morning on September 1st. So thanks very much for letting me share. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Pastor. Let's go with Dr. Pastor. Okay, we'll go with the Dr. Durain Irvin. Thank you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And Marisa, we couldn't hear you. I don't know if you're on mute or having some audio difficulties, but as you were speaking just now, we couldn't hear you. Good morning, Own It family, and those that are tuning in. I love my Own It family because I'm always getting more knowledge, especially from Teresa with her vast medical background, and Nathaniel and Dr. Jeffrey. And Nathaniel, you helped me this morning. So the information you gave me, now I can make this my quote.
Okay.
So in the past, I said this quote and I didn't quite know who said it, but it says the greatest distance in the world, they say, was the 14 inches from your head to your heart. But Nathaniel gave me some factual information. So now I'm putting it out there for the first time as a quote from Dr. Daraine Irvin. The greatest distance in the world, thank you, Nathaniel, is 18 to 24 inches from your head to your heart. Now that's new knowledge. So I'm going to put my name on it and I'm going to put it on my website. That's a quote from me. So I love learning from my own and family. My philosophy is simple. 99.9%, because we always put that 0.1% of our ego in there, as Teresa said, that I trust in the Lord with all my heart. I try not to lean to my own understanding, but in all my ways, I acknowledge him and allow him to direct my path, because what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so there is a conflict between your head knowledge and what you feel in your heart. And when you allow those emotions plus life circumstances and situations, they do guide our thinking. But hopefully, as I go forth and with the wisdom and the knowledge that God has given me, I'll lean more to my head knowledge rather than my emotions, because emotions can trick you up. Emotions deal based on what you're dealing with will make you make a decision that may not be in your that's best for you or even for your family or your business. Something happened last week. Cracker Barrel changed their logo. They spent $70 million on this campaign. In 24 hours, they lost $145 million because the public managed with their heart and did not like the new logo and told them to go back to the old logo that had the old man on it. In the next 24 hours, Cracker Barrel used their head and went in line with the people's heart and went back to that old logo. Now, that was a $215 million decision they made from their head. But it just shows you that sometimes the emotions of the heart is greater than the emotions of the head knowledge. I thought that was so powerful that the people really came out. They like that old man. Now, I'm a Cracker Barrel fanatic. Shout out to Cracker Barrel. Y'all want me to be your spokesperson? Call it, sister, okay? I love Cracker Barrel. I love their food. If you ever come to visit me, the first place I'm going to say, come on, let's go to Cracker Barrel. So I related to that old man, but the heart had some emotion connected to that made their stock drop. But I hope and pray that as I go forward and making decisions personally for my family, for my business, for the church, that I will use a combination of the knowledge that God gives me and the emotions, excuse me, of the heart that I may feel. It's a tricky situation and we have to have a balance, but it is possible to balance the two and come out on top. Thank you. I'm going to send it back to Marisa. We still can't hear you. Marisa is having some technical difficulties. We can't hear you. It sounds like you are possibly in a bubble. But as we're trying, Teresa trying to get her audio together. Teresa, you want to add some more to our topic this morning?
Now that I got my earbud back in place, I could talk. I liked what you said about, the Cracker Barrel decision. I myself am not a fan of Cracker Barrel, but that's okay. Um, Plenty of people are. But I think their logic, in a way, got them in trouble because they were basically just looking at, I think they were listening to groups of people, to different things, and saying, you have in business, you're making a logical decision. And they said, logically, because X, Y, and Z, or people are complaining, we're going to do this. That's not using your intuition. That's totally using your head. Now, the people, on the other hand, were emotional about it because they liked a certain thing. And they used that emotion then to change the logic. But what would have happened, and we'll never know, what would have happened if the CEO had gone with their heart and their gut feeling, that inner knowing, that inner knowing, that's something that just said, of course, they would probably be told that they were crazy. But say they went into a board meeting and they said, I just have this really strong feeling that we need to leave the logo the way it is. They would probably be told, you're foolish. This group is saying that group. And they probably wouldn't have gone with their intuition, that inner knowing, because they probably wouldn't have been strong enough to face that. So in business, you have a totally different, it's all logic and it's all based on analytics. But I think that brought up a good point. Where do we really go with our intuition and how do we really follow it? And I think personally, again, that self-awareness, that being self-confident in yourself, that standing up and saying, this is what I need, and this is what I need to do with it. And not clouding it with, well, how's somebody going to feel about that? Or is so-and-so going to like me if I change that? Or the head saying, well, what if you lose followers on Instagram because you're doing X instead of Y? What happens? You have to go with that inner knowing, that knowing that it's right for you. And that's such an individual thing. And it's something that we're really not taught either. We're not taught how to use our intuition. We're taught how to think and we're taught how to feel. But when you put thinking and feeling together, getting your head and your heart working together, I think that's where the intuition blossoms. And that's where we could make our best decision that's based on what is best for me. And that's not being selfish, that's living your best life. And I'll pass it on to Nathaniel.
Well, I like Cracker Barrel. I may never have another Cracker Barrel meal again, but I love that place. And I think from a business standpoint, it's a little different than personally in terms of using the intuition versus the logic. But there's a way around that. If they had put together focus groups and had actually tested the customer base would have told them, don't do it. But I think somebody, might have neglected to do that or chose to not listen to whatever customers they had or whatever consultant convinced them to do something without doing the check-in. But if for all of us, it's whether we're checking in with ourselves or from the business side, checking in with our customer clientele, we got to be in tune, have to be in tune. So I think Marissa's trying to chime in. Oh. Okay, we don't have a live mic. Okay, so Jeff, any other additional comments before we close out?
No, I think that you guys have covered it pretty well here because we're coming up to the half hour. But unfortunately, I'm not a big, fast food and chain restaurants. Being a certified holistic health coach for 5 years and working on the gut microbiome and learning about what's really out there. So I'm very, very protective on this body temple here because it was destroyed for decades, and I'm in repair mode and detox mode, and I want this as clean as possible. So, but I'm glad that they went back to the old logo, because it's, for me, it's about traditions. We carry traditions through, generation and generation, and it shows that, it's the history of the evolution of, America. This is a land of the free, land of the brave. And when people come in and create something very unique, we want to carry those traditions. And that new logo meant nothing to me. I did used to go to Cracker Barrel. I loved it, but I don't anymore. But I really am passionate about those old traditions and evolving them. Yeah, you get a brand new restaurant with new logos of, the 21st, 22nd century, but keep those that are, have value, and it really brings the memories back, and they can be passed on from generation to generation, just like the stories of the Indian reservations and the different Indian groups. They carry that on, and that's what I really love about that. So,
yeah. All right, Pastor Durain, do you want to close us out with any comments?
I absolutely agree with all of you guys, and I definitely agree on tradition and passing things down. I actually was having a conversation with someone about that the other day, why I truly so much love the Old Testament, because it just gives us that background and it gives us that history. Teresa had said something, and I think, Nathaniel, you did too, when we were backstage, about that urging, listening to that still voice that's inside of you, and following that in your decision making. It brings me back to a passage from 2 Kings where Elisha says that, God wasn't in the earthquake and God wasn't in the storm. He wasn't in the fire, but he was in that still voice that was speaking to him. And sometimes, even in the midst of danger, we hear that still voice, and sometimes we don't follow it, but what's inside of you will lead, guide, and direct you. And so we need to make sure we are listening to our still voice, our conscious, whatever you want to term it, but listen to that voice, because it will not steer you wrong. Marisa, I'm not sure if you're able to come back on yet. Okay.
She can't come back on, so
Okay.
we can close out if anybody. We're gonna go ahead and close out.
I will close this out. Thank you for joining us on Own It. As you go through life, own it. It is your life, and allow that voice to lead, guide, and direct you, making good, sound decisions. As we are closing out this year, we're going to close it out on a positive note, making positive decisions and looking forward to making greater decisions for our advancement in all areas in 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Labor Day. Have a blessed day. Love you guys.
Bye, everyone.